Madam Deputy Speaker, thank you for calling me to make my maiden speech. And I'd like to congratulate the Honourable Member for Lower and Grangemouth, and it was interesting to hear about the challenges facing his industry in his constituency. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is with immense pride and honour that I stand here today to give my maiden speech as the first ever female and Liberal Democrat Member of Parliament for Epsom and Ewell, which also includes the towns of Ashstead and Leatherhead. This moment is not just about my election victory, it is part of a long journey of progress that started with brave women like Emily Wilding Davison, a suffragette who gave her life for the cause of women's rights. In fact, in 1911, she famously hid within the very walls of this building, the Palace of Westminster, to declare it her residence on the census. And just 2 years later, she made the ultimate sacrifice, losing her life at the Epsom Derby while campaigning for women's suffrage. And it is remarkable that today, 101 years after her passing, we now have 263 women in this Parliament, more than ever before. This progress is a testament to her legacy and the relentless efforts of organisations like 50/50, to whom I am personally grateful for their support in getting me here. And I'm delighted that there's now progress towards establishing a women's caucus in Parliament. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Lord Grayling, my predecessor, on his move to the other place and thank him for the 23 years of dedicated service to Epsom and Ewell. His service to the community of Epsom and Ewell is well recognised, and I look forward to building upon the work that has been done, bringing fresh perspectives and new energy to our local and national challenges. So Epsom and Ewell is a community that prides itself on strong local values, resilience with a rich sporting history and creative history. It's home to the world-famous Epsom Derby. We have the University of Creative Arts, Lane Theatre Arts and many sporting clubs, including 3 running clubs, 2 football clubs as well. It has several vibrant economic hubs with many successful businesses, large and small. But it is the people who make my constituency special, whether it is our small businesses, voluntary groups or the diverse families who've made this area their home. Epsom and Ewell represents the best of what a community can be when it works together. Epsom and Ewell is a beautiful place, blessed with remarkable green spaces and historical significance, and we are fortunate to have 3 sites of special scientific interest: Ashstead Common, Priest Hill and Stones Road Pond. We also have beautiful green spaces such as Horton and Nonsuch Park, Epsom Downs and the Surrey Hills, an area of outstanding natural beauty. But one site that holds special meaning for many is Langley Vale, which was used to train over 8,000 soldiers during World War I and where Lord Kitchener famously inspected the troops. Today it stands as a centenary wood, a place of reflection with beautiful sculptures honouring our military past. As someone who proudly served in the Army, in the Royal Military Police, I'm deeply moved by our community's ties to the armed forces. My own military experience includes serving in Iraq during Optelic 4 in 2004, where I was responsible for retraining and mentoring the Iraqi police force in Maiden province. It was a volatile and dangerous region at the time, and it wasn't an easy tour. We came under fire on a regular basis, and it was made harder with the knowledge that just a year before my arrival, 6 of my RMP colleagues were killed in Maguire. The coroner found that they'd been given inadequate radios and ammunition. So it was no surprise that when I arrived, we were given more ammo and weapons. I want to ensure that our armed forces continue to have the right resources to stay safe in their duties as this government conducts its spending review. And I hope the Secretary of State for Defence will bear in mind the effects that cuts can have in the field. Madam Deputy Speaker, it's apt that I talk about this issue today, on the day of the issuing of the Darcy report, as I want to share a personal experience that underscores my commitment to improving healthcare services in Epsom and Ewell. In 2007, my 6-week-old son suddenly turned blue in front of me while a health visitor was visiting. I called 999. It was a terrifying moment, and before I knew what was going on, my living room was packed with paramedics and there was equipment everywhere. I was told to pack my bag, and shortly afterwards I arrived at A&E. The crash team was there and my baby boy was surrounded by 20 consultants trying to figure out what was going wrong. I stood there, looking on, helpless. The doctors managed to stabilise him and moved him to the amazing Evelina Hospital just over the other side of the river here. As they didn't have the specialist equipment needed in that hospital, my son went into paediatric intensive care unit, and every bit of his skin, his head, was covered by some sort of patch and monitor, trying to establish what was going on. And the consultants informed us that he had bronchiolitis and that it was going to be touch and go that evening. Thankfully, he survived the night, and we spent over a week in intensive care as the amazing doctors worked to save his life from bronchiolitis. I saw firsthand the critical importance of high-quality emergency care, and it is my mission to make sure that the residents of Epsom, Ewell, Ashted and Leatherhead have access to the best possible healthcare. Our community was promised one of the 40 new hospitals, a commitment that must be fulfilled. We're part of the Epsom and St Helier Trust. St Helier Hospital is struggling with crumbling facilities and overstretched staff. We have fewer hospital beds per capita than many other nations. Ceilings are falling in and there are buildings that are condemned. The need for this new hospital is urgent, and I look forward to discussing this with the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care in the coming weeks. You'll be pleased to know that my son is now a big, strong 16-year-old and challenging his parents as every teenager does. Epsom and Ewell is home to two significant rivers, the Hogs Mill, a relatively pristine chalk river whose beauty is immortalised by Sir John Everett Millais in his iconic painting Ophelia, and the River Mole, one of the most polluted in the country. Thames Water's negligent handling of our water resources has led to over 8,000 hours of sewage discharge in the River Mole in the first 6 months of this year alone. Thames Water is crippled by being billions in debt, and water bills keep rising. Executive bonuses are handed out as the sewage is pouring out. This mismanagement of our water is unacceptable, and I call for greater regulation and accountability and a sewage tax to protect our rivers and water infrastructure. While Epsom and Ewell has affluent areas, we also face stark social inequalities. There are parts of my constituency where food banks have become a lifeline for struggling families, and our local housing waiting list has grown to over 1,300 households. Food banks are not the norm. They're a sign that society simply isn't working, and I'm concerned that even more of my constituents will be using them this winter as they struggle without the winter fuel allowance. This stark contrast between wealth and deprivation is a reminder that we must do more to support those who are most in need. And I'm incredibly grateful for the work of the Good Company, Leatherhead Community Hub, local faith organisations, all the volunteers and local charities who work tirelessly to provide for our community's most vulnerable. As a Member of Parliament for Epsom and Ewell, a constituency that stretches from Worcester Park and Stoneleigh in the north to Ashted and Leatherhead, the gateway of Surrey Hills in the south, I want our community to thrive economically, socially and environmentally. My constituency has inspired literary greats like C.S. Lewis and Jane Austen, and I believe it can continue to be a place of innovation and inspiration. Madam Deputy Speaker, I thank my parents for their support throughout these years, and I thank my husband and 3 kids for their support and leafleting prowess throughout my campaign. But Madam Deputy Speaker, most importantly, I thank my constituents for placing their trust in me, and I am committed to paying the trust with service, dedication and determination to make Epsom and Ewell a better place for everyone. Thank you.